Hi, my name's Joe Disbro. I'm a sound crew head at Chicago Shakes. Today I wanted to give you a brief walkthrough of one of the first steps we take in sound system design. As you may know, the Yard at Chicago Shakespeare is an extremely flexible venue, which provides an interesting challenge on a per-show basis for sound designers. Your typical sound system at a regional theater is what's called a rep plot. It's a sound system that is installed and rarely moves, only being augmented here and there on a per-show basis. This works because the venue itself does not change or move. The stage is always in the same spot, and the seats are always in the same spot. So in general, the sound system can stay the same. That's not the case in the Yard. So let's dive in and take a look at 3 examples of predicting the coverage of a sound system using D&B's array calc.
Glories and the disgraces.
3, 2, 1. It's easy to forget. Sometimes think you never ever have enough. 'Cause Christmas is all about presents, but the best one's being in the presence of the being in the presence of the being in the presence of the people you love.
The nation believes when I speak for them, yet I cannot speak.
We're going to need help. This man might be the one to do it.
Soon our king will have to broadcast to the world. I'm afraid his greatest test is yet to come.
Why should I waste my time listening to you?
Because I have a right to be heard.
Heard as what?
A man! I have a voice!
Yes, you do, Bertie.
Great, so let's talk about the system design for the King's Speech and how we used array calc to decide where to put our speakers. Array calc is a modeling software that is proprietary to D&B, a loudspeaker and amplifier company. In array calc, you can draw in intimate detail your venue, every wall, floor, and reflective surface that can augment your sound in any way. Once you have done that, you can begin to place speakers in your venue, in any location along the X, Y, and Z axis, predicting what type of speakers would do in any location. The software will also tell you all the equipment and rigging you will need when you are finished with your prediction, along with exporting to another great D&B piece of software, R1, allowing you to control your amplifiers. But we won't look at that right now. Let's just look at coverage. So, what is coverage? Coverage is simply looking at where sound goes. We are looking at how loud or how quiet it is and where. We are looking at every frequency across the spectrum that the human ear can hear. Our goal is to make the model look the same at every frequency in every seat in the house, so that you, the patron, get the same show, whether you're in the front row or 3 floors up. This is what we call even coverage, and it is extremely important to have so we can give our sound designer a blank canvas to work with. When we start a system design for something like the King's Speech, we think about a few things. What do we want to do with this sound system? In discussion with sound designer John Gramata, King's Speech had 2 main goals: a great sounding music system and a transparent reinforcement system to amplify the actors without it sounding like they were wearing mics. Taking that information, I began to design a sound system that John could use to accomplish his goals. Where can we and where should we put the speakers to do this? Let's start with our music system. What makes a good music system? Well, what makes a good music system in your house? Stereo. When beginning to design our music system for King's Speech, we realized we had 2 main challenges. Because the set was so tall and wide, we had to take our speakers out of the visual path of the set, which meant we had to go taller and wider. This put us very close to the people at the extreme left and right. It also made us very far away from the people on the main floor. This means we had to figure out a way to provide even coverage to the people in the extremes right next to the speakers, along with the people right down there where the action's happening. How we accomplished our goal for even coverage in our music system was to take two speakers and have them work in tandem. We had a top and a bottom. The top would provide coverage for the top two levels, and the bottom would provide coverage for the bottom level. As we can see from the model of just the top speaker, the speaker is covering the top two levels well. We know that because the color yellow is very strong on those two levels. But as we move down to the main floor, the colors move to more greens and blues. This shows us a drop off in decibels. So now if we turn on the bottom speaker, we can see we are starting to get the same levels across the venue. Along with that, we tilted our speakers in 12 degrees because when we modeled them straight on, we found that it provided too much level for the people in the extreme left and right seating sections on the top floor. But when we angled them in 12 degrees, it really helped to clear up those extremes. Now that we're happy with our music system, let's move on to our reinforcement system. There is one main concern when it comes to reinforcement systems: directionality. We want that system to provide more level for the actors, but still sound like it's coming from them and not speakers. To do this, we go with a center cluster approach, placing speakers in the center of the stage and just high enough to be above the set. This helps with our directionality and sourcing. Looking at our center cluster, it took us 3 speakers, all working in tandem, to cover the entire width of our seating area. You'll notice that we did not have to stack them like we did the music left and right speakers. This is because we took the horn on the inside and rotated it, taking it from a speaker that covers 70 degrees wide and 40 degrees tall, and making it a speaker that covers 40 degrees wide and 70 degrees tall. If we look at just our center speaker from our center cluster alone, we'll see that it covers very well in the center. But we need to add the 2 more on the left and right to cover those extremes. Now we've got some pretty even coverage. Last but not least, we have fill speakers. Fill speakers are what covers those areas that weren't quite covered as well with our music left and music right and our center cluster. If we look back at the models, you would see that the front rows and then underneath all the overhangs weren't getting very good coverage. If we were to turn on all the underbouks and all the front fills, you would see that coverage fill in very nicely. These fill speakers work in tandem with both the music left and music right and with the center cluster to complete our even coverage. So great, let's go ahead and move on and take a look at Q Brothers' Christmas Carol, which is a system very similar to the King's Speech. When sound designer Chris Laporta and I started to talk about QCC, it was clear that we wanted to not only make a loud show to communicate the energy of hip-hop, but we also wanted to help the actors deliver every word of the all-important text to every seat in the house. We wanted a clear and impactful music system for the great beats in this hip-hop show. And we also wanted a vocal system to help get this very important text not only above the music, but deliver in a crystal clear fashion so the audience didn't miss a word. These 2 goals were very similar to the King's Speech. So what makes QCC different from the King's Speech, and why can't we use the same system? Well, the stage and the seats have moved. The stage is now at a 12-foot thrust, so our speakers need to move forward with it. And there's cabaret seating, so we need to augment everything on the main floor. However, the proscenium height is now lower, and we're going to take advantage of that. As you can see, this drawing is very similar, but very different from our last drawing. Our center cluster has moved forward about 8 feet to account for that thrust. Our music left and right have also moved forward a bit, about 6 feet, along with being pulled in a little bit to help with those extremes we had an issue with on King's Speech. This is thanks to the proscenium width of QCC being narrower than the King's Speech. We can see by looking at the two models that the music system and the reinforcement system for QCC are both doing a fantastic job providing even coverage for the whole entire space. So let's move on to the one you've been waiting for, the sound system for the global smash hit 6.
Listen up, let me tell you a story that you think you've heard before.
First off, I would like to credit the drawing you're going to see to the designer of 6, Paul Gatehouse. Thanks, Paul, for allowing me to share your drawing with everyone. 6's design goal is entirely different from the last two shows we talked about. If you're familiar with 6, you know it's a pop concert. So how do we make a show, sound system-wise, sound like a pop concert? Well, we use the same tactics that concert sound engineers use in their system design, that you would see at any big pop or rock show. Looking at the drawing for 6, we see that we've accomplished a very similar goal that we did in QCC in the King's Speech, of providing even coverage for the entire space. The only main difference is we're doing it with 2 line arrays and not with 2 separate systems. In contrast to other shows, the line arrays are only about 10 feet off the ground. Without getting into too much line array theory, a line array allows you to provide the same coverage with a single source to the people very close and the people very far. So our line array is covering the people close to it with the bottom speaker, and as you go up, it covers the people farther and farther away until you get to the top, and that top box covers your top person all the way in the back. Not to be left out though are our fill speakers. We still have our underbouks and we still have our front fills. They are providing very important coverage to those sections that need a little extra help. The line arrays are not going to cover those front rows, so our front fills cover those front rows. And our line arrays are not going to cover very well underneath the balconies, so our underbouks are still very important. The one fill that I would like to note is added in this system is what's called a downfill. If we just turn on the main left and right line array, you'll see that we have 2 kind of power alleys that leave the center section uncovered. So we need something in the middle to help those people out. So we have what is called a downfill. This is a single speaker by itself, pointed straight down, and it just provides that little extra coverage that you need. I hope you all enjoyed this brief overview of the very beginning steps of sound system design. There are of course many more steps in this process. We have to take our drawings to our collaborators and make any concessions that are necessary for other departments to function. We install the system, we tune the system, and so much more. If you look below, I've added my email. If you're an aspiring sound engineer, designer, technician, or even just a curious nerd like myself, please feel free to send me a message, and I will try to answer any question you may have. And if there's enough interest, maybe you'll hear more from me on another step in the sound system design process. Thank you. Now go check out another video on our Backstage at Home series. See you next time.